Good morning, students. Until now, we have studied the solar radiations and the energy available in them, and we have derived the relationship to obtain the energy in the solar radiations at any particular day, time, and location on the earth. And we came to know from the energy curve that almost half of the energy available in the solar radiations can be utilized as in the form of heat. So if we talk about the technology, then solar energy can be utilized in two ways. The first one is solar thermal, and the second is solar photovoltaic. Okay, so today we will start our study in the direction of solar thermal. Okay, so it provides the thermal energy of the solar radiations extraction for different applications. For example, in cold climate regions, the large amount of low grade heat is required for air heating purposes, for domestic applications, washing and water heating, and small industrial applications as well. Where low grade heat is required, we can utilize this directly. So today we will start our study to know how we can collect the heat from the solar radiations and transform it into utilization for different utilization purposes. So in that direction, we have started solar collectors. Okay, so let us start solar collectors. Okay, from the name itself we can judge what it can be. Actually, solar collectors collect the radiations heat directly coming from the sun, and before coming to that, we should know the power available in the solar radiations, and we all have studied that is not very dense, that is low dense power, that is almost 1 kilowatt per meter square to 0.1 kilowatt per meter square, that is low dense power. So keeping this in our mind, we will continue our study. Okay, so solar collectors directly collect the radiations heat. After collecting the heat, it transforms that heat to the fluid, and heat transport fluid delivers this heat to thermal storage tank or boiler or heat exchanger or any another way to utilize and to store it. Okay, so on the basis of these heat collections and transformation, solar collectors can be classified as two types. The first one is that is non-concentrating type. Non-concentrating type. And the second can be concentrating type. Okay, the radiations that are coming, from the name itself it defines what they are and what these are. Non-concentrating means the radiations that are coming from the sun, they just collecting those radiations directly and transform it into heat, and that heat is changed to the fluid, and that fluid can be utilized or stored in the different form. So in this case, the collector surface is simply flat plate. Radiations are coming directly, it is absorbing. So here we have flat plate collectors. Okay, and in concentrating type, it can be further, we can understand from here, the radiations that are coming from the sun, they are not very dense, and if we are required for high temperature applications, then high dense power is required, and to make it more dense, the power density, to increase the power density in the radiations, we are concentrating those radiations from large area to a small area. We are concentrating them, and that can be different classification. We can further classification can be done. The non-focus type, and focus type. Okay, we will discuss one by one to all of them. In non-focus type, what we are doing, the flat plate collector we are taking, however we are modifying them so that the concentration of the radiations can be increased. So it can be further written modified flat plate collectors. Modified flat plate collectors. Okay, and further in this category another collector is there, that is known as compound parabolic, that is further modification in this, that is named as compound parabolic concentrating type. So okay, let us write concentrating type. Okay, so non-focus type can be modification in this, and further modification in this due to some constraints available here, some constraints here, and further to mitigate those constraints, this is modified. And in focus type, now let us discuss focus type. It can be further classified as, okay, point focus and line focus. So we are focusing at a single point, we are focusing on a single line. So on the basis of that, we can say point focus, and here we can say line focus. Okay, in line focus, if we are focusing in the line, then we are tracking the sun radiations, and in one axis tracking is sufficient. So here we can say this one axis tracking. We will discuss all of them one by one. Let me change this key. one axis tracking. Here in point focus, we have to do, it is named as two axis tracking. Okay, and under line focus there are modified from here, so that is cylindrical parabolic concentrators. Now the radiations are concentrated in a line. Okay, radiations are coming and passing through a line, and line is considered as a focus point. So that is known as line focus, and in line focus cylindrical parabolic concentrator is there. We will further discuss fixed mirror solar concentrators. Okay, and further we will include linear Fresnel lens collectors. This is pronounced as Fresnel lens. S is considered as silent. In this way, focus type can have cylindrical, parabolic, fixed mirror and Fresnel lens collectors. So these explanations, these topics will be included in line focus, in focus type solar collectors. And in point focus, we will discuss parabolic dish collectors. These are very simple technologies, just we have to follow them one by one and we will understand all of them very easily. And next we can have hemispherical bowl mirror concentrator. Okay, and here linear Fresnel lens is there. In point focus we will include circular Fresnel lens concentrator, and the last one central tower receiver we will include in this. Central tower receiver. If these are the classifications, we will go one by one to all of. Now let us discuss some important features for solar collectors. The first features that includes the efficiency, the collector efficiency and the concentration ratio and temperature range. Okay. The performance of different solar collectors can be evaluated on the basis of these important features. So let us discuss the collector's efficiency. Collector efficiency. And if we exclude collector, we just talk about efficiency, then we can define easily. Now just add that in case of collector. If we talk about collector efficiency, then we can define as ratio of energy actually absorbed by the collector to the energy incident to the collector. Okay, so simple definition that efficiency can have, we will include with collector as well. So we can say efficiency energy absorbed and this is absorbed by the collector surface and energy incident on the collector surface, you can say. Okay, so this is called collector efficiency. Now after collector efficiency, let us discuss concentration ratio. Concentration ratio. These are important features that we should know, then we can design the collectors and everything. So it is important to discuss them now, though they are very simple, even though it is important to discuss. Concentration ratio, and it can be defined as the area of the aperture of the system to the area of the receiver. So we can write area aperture to the area of the receiver. So in this way, for example, beam radiations are coming like that. Okay, beam radiations are coming after reflection, they pass through this, and direct beam radiations are coming. So this area, total area, it is aperture, and this is our collector surface, receiver surface. So this is the area of the receiver. So in this way, aperture area to the receiver area, it is the concentration ratio. Okay. After that, we will discuss the temperature range. So that temperature range, this is the range of the temperature up to which the collector transform the heat to the fluid, means the temperature of the fluid up to which it can be raised, that is known as the range of the temperature. Now we will discuss flat plate collectors, and from name itself, this is the collector surface at which radiations are coming, and this surface absorbs the heat from the radiations, and that heat is absorbed by the tubes. There is a fluid flow from these tubes. When these tubes comes in contact with this collector surface, and there is a high temperature and the fluid has low temperature, so there is a temperature flow from here to the tube and from tube to the fluid. In this way, the heat is transferred from solar radiations to the collector surface and from collector surface to the fluid. Okay, so this is the basic functioning. However, to improve the performance, there are some modifications. The first one is, if the absorber becomes black, then it will absorb the maximum radiations. As we know, the tendency to absorb the radiations of black is high, maximum. So we will make this collector surface black. Second thing, the heat cannot be dissipated in the surroundings, so there should be heat insulators. Okay, so there should be heat insulations. It is our absorber. This is insulation, and these are the tubes carrying the fluid. So we can say just fluid. Okay. Is there any further modification can be done? We are collecting the radiations. Heat from the radiations can be transformed, can be collected by absorber. The heat absorbed by absorber is transferred to the fluid through the pipe due to temperature difference. Now, to maintain the heat, it can be put in a glass cover, okay, to maintain the temperature inside. Okay, so the radiations are coming like that. These are beam radiations. There are possibility of diffused radiations as well. So in this case, direct and diffused both radiations can be collected by the absorbed by the absorber. If we try to write few points regarding this, then what we can say, it absorbs both beam and diffused radiations. Beam and diffused radiations. First point we can say regarding this type of collector. And second point, what we can say, this collector surface, once we placed at any position, then there is no need of tracking like PV system, that is roof installed or ground mounted. So we can say here, without it can no need of sun tracking. It can perform well without the need of sun tracking, as direct and diffused radiations can be utilized. And third thing, there are no complexity, just absorber and the tubes which is flowing the fluid are the main, and very simple in construction we can say. So third thing, simple in construction. After the characteristics of the flat plate collectors, let us discuss the basic elements of the collector. So the first one is the absorber surface. So first thing that we can say about the absorber surface, it should be black, okay. And the second thing that we can say about that, it should be good conductor of heat, and we know the copper is very good conductor of heat. However, it is not at the top of the conductor table. Anyway, in cost and conduction, if we will compare, then copper is the best suited here. So copper is the good conductor of heat, so we will use copper, or if we will go to aluminum, even though it is acceptable in cheaper range, or steel. So any of these can be used according to the cost of the converter. So the collector surface, means absorber surface, should be either of copper, aluminum, steel, or in one sentence we can say it should be good conductor of heat, and it should be blackened, okay. Second point that we can see, the absorber, this surface should have an optimum thickness, that is 1.2 to 1 to 2 millimeter thick, okay. If it will be more than this, okay, if it will be more than this, then the absorber is the top surface, it will be heated up, okay, and after that the conduction, through conduction process, heat will be transferred to this. It will take some time to transfer from here to here. And second thing, there will be temperature drop from here to here, and it will transfer to the fluid, then the temperature difference from here to here will be very large. So that is not recommended. The thickness should be as minimum as it can be. So if it is minimum thickness, then the fluid is attached directly to that, and the heat that is absorbed by the absorber directly from the radiations will be transferred from here to the tube directly through conduction process, and from tube to the fluid through convection process, without any much losing it. So the optimum thickness that we can obtain is 1.2 millimeter, okay. So it should be black and with of good thermal conductor, and the second thing, the thickness should be 1 to 2 millimeter only. So the third thing is regarding the tube. The tube thickness should be 1 to 2 centimeter dia. So if its diameter should be in this range. If it will be more than this, okay, consider more than 2 centimeter, then the fluid that is flowing to that will be collecting heat from the pipe at the area which is connected to the pipe only, and the flow of the heat from here to the center will take time, and during that the fluid will pass out and there will be uneven heating. It will be heated up more, there will be low heating. So in that way water will be not heated up properly, if it will be higher thickness. So after different analysis and calculations, it is obtained that since the density of the radiations is not too high, so keeping that thing in mind, the thickness is 1 to 2 centimeter only. So if diameter is 1 to 2 centimeter only, then full fluid that is flowing from here will be heated up equally, uniformly. The next component is insulation, and the insulation should be 5 to 10 centimeter thickness. If it will be more than that, then that will be without any further advantage, it will increase the cost. However, if it will be less than this thickness, then that may not be capable to insulate the heat, and heat may loss to the surrounding. So in this way, the thickness should be thickness of the insulation is optimum up to 5 to 10 centimeter only.